Welcome to Opening Doors. It's always fun to catch up with former student athletes, football guys that love it. It's some about the state of Florida, though. A lot of athletes come out of the state. They ended up playing professionally. And by the way, the guy on today just so happened to be a current NFL player. Man, it is my pleasure to be on today with Will Holden. Will, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I love that you gave a shout out to Florida. Florida, I know you're a Georgia guy, but I claim has or Alabama guy. I know Florida's got the best athletes, but, all Southeast,
That's questionable, yeah.
yeah.
We can go back and forth, but if we just talking strictly Vanderbilt, I think Alabama have a leg up on you in that regard.
I swear it's either Florida, Georgia, Alabama. Anyone from those three states thinks they have the best players, but obviously you can look at the statistics and Florida takes the title right there.
I'll give it to you just for right now, for the sake of this interview. You always want the interviewee to be right, so I'll give that to you. So let's talk about coming out of high school. Obviously you had the opportunity to, receive a scholarship to multiple institutions. What made Vanderbilt that school that you knew you wanted to attend?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was like a highly, recruited guy, but I had a good amount of offers coming out of high school. And kind of when you look at it, I had some SEC offers. I had some really good Ivy League school offers, kind of like Grant and Aids. And, other cities where schools were. Louisville was a great city, kind of the history around that city. Just some of the factors that kind of went into it. It's like, you think about Nashville, that's like, first off, I still live in Nashville, so I love it.
There we go.
So the city, obviously, and then you're talking about top 15 education, which coming out of high school in Florida public school, it's not the best, but if you have like half a brain coming out of high school, you think, all right, top 15 school, a great city, and I get to play in the SEC, and at that time, James Franklin was the coach, and, we were building something special. And at that point, I was like, you know what, I got to go be a part of this. And I'm so glad I did, because, I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't make that decision.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited that you did come to Vanderbilt, and now you're representing us well in the NFL. As you stated and alluded to earlier, Vanderbilt being a top 15 academic institution, how were you able to navigate being a student athlete on Vanderbilt campus? Because it's rigorous, right? Like, you go to class 24/7. Like, here the professors aren't just going to pass you because you're a student athlete. What were some things that you did in terms of time management, and maybe some other tricks or techniques that you can talk about a little bit more, to be able to graduate from the school but to also be successful?
Yeah. So to be candid, my first semester at Vanderbilt was not smooth. I was like a C student.
Same.
Not good. Yeah. So I dug myself a hole, and, it just kind of came back to that work-life balance, or that school-life balance. It's like, you can have good grades, you can play great football, or you can be social, but you can't have all three. Just pick two of the three. And then kind of once I kind of understood that, I was like, all right, like, I got to really balance, in season, I got to be good at school, good at football. Out of season, you take a little bit more like relaxation towards the fact you're like, all right, good at school, football, we're just training right now. I can have a little bit of social life, but really it comes back to school and football. That's why you're there. And that's why Vanderbilt gave me that scholarship, is to play football, and to be a good student athlete, not to be a social star. So once I kind of learned that, I kind of got back on track, and, I was blessed to, stay focused and be on the honor roll every year, and the COSIDA academic All-American team. So, it kind of comes full circle at the end of your career, because you're like, all right, I started here, and now, I can see where I kind of put my head down and got in the books, got into the playbook, became a better football player, became a better person, became a better student, and it kind of paid off. So, I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, and I like how you talked about, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. You really found out what works for you, right? Like, for everybody, it's different, right? So there are some guys that can socialize and be successful, on and off the field. There's some guys that understand, like, hey, I may be doing a little bit too much in
Too
terms of
much.
socializing on and off campus. And so I need to focus more on ball and school to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to improve my chances of graduating, but also improving this institution, this football team. As we talk about just Vanderbilt in general, what's one thing that comes to mind or one thing that you really miss about being on campus?
Man, I miss college every day. No, it's you know, I just think the people at Vanderbilt, the kids that you go to school with are just like life changers, like everyday interaction. I think you take that for granted, but the kids at Vanderbilt, student athletes or regular students, they are great people. It's a very small pool of people who can go to Vanderbilt and say, all right, I graduated from Vanderbilt. And when you're on campus, you kind of take that for granted because there's great people all around you. I mean, just the interaction with just the normal students, your everyday life is something I miss. Not just with the student athletes, but with regular students. It's special because it's such a tight selection of who gets to go to Vanderbilt. And like I said, these kids are life changers. They go on and they cure some type of cancer. They found a crazy business. They do special things. And Vanderbilt's a special place. So that's one thing I definitely miss is kind of that everyday interaction with just every student on Vanderbilt's campus.
Yeah. Well, we see that you're with the Indianapolis Colts, so you're constantly creating these memories in the NFL. Obviously, we got to talk about some memories with Vanderbilt. What's one of your fondest memory of playing at Dudley Stadium?
Man, I mean, I feel like anyone who does these calls with you will say beating Tennessee. Not just at Dudley Field, but in Knoxville, we went in my 5 years at Vanderbilt. We beat them 3 out of the 5 times. So
nice.
You got to be pretty proud about that, especially with the history of the Vanderbilt Tennessee rivalry. Man, that's a special game, and that's definitely one of my fondest memories. I'd say one of my first true memories of a kind of like having my hand on the game was Georgia versus Vanderbilt, CBS, kind of like a mid-afternoon game, fake field goal to kind of put us on top to kind of win the game. And that was like when I first started getting playing time, like serious playing time. And I remember just Kerry Spear running right off my back, had a little down block. And that was kind of like my first vivid memory of like, all right, like I can play this game.
Yeah. See, I was going to get into that a little bit because what tends to happen is the lineman doesn't get a lot of love, right? Like people don't like to hear the stories of the offensive line because he didn't catch a touchdown pass or he didn't run a reverse for 60 yards or return a punt return for 45 yards for the game winner, right? But you guys are key contributors to those things that happen. Give me a play that you can vividly remember from an offensive standpoint against Tennessee in Tennessee where you were just like, Jack, like, yeah, like, dude, like this is it right here. This is SEC ball, man.
Like you said, offensive lineman, there's so many plays. Like what I get joy out of is not what the average fan gets joy out of. Absolutely. I can move a guy from point A to point B. I can move a DN 4 yards and I'm like, all right, that was an awesome block. Like I'll always remember that play. I always remember playing against Derek Barnett. He's an awesome defensive end. And not necessarily him, but there was a 3 technique. And just as an offensive lineman, you love just like, come down on a 3 technique and just get some movement. Kind of, it was power to our side, left side. We had a deuce block, which is a combination between the guard and the tackle, back to the backside linebacker. And I remember just coming down, hitting the 3 techniques hip, climbing up to the linebacker, and Ralph Webb hitting the long run.
There you go.
Tennessee. But there's so many of those plays as an offensive lineman, and there's plays you definitely want back. I think more often offensive linemen look at the plays that they didn't do well, and that's kind of where we live and that's kind of who an offensive lineman is. And I mean, we don't take the glory. We never want to. That's not who we are.
So what's one key feature that you learned at Vanderbilt that you've been able to take over with you to the NFL? So for me, it was really just study habits, right? Like I always wanted to be that receiver that knew the entire offense, right? So I knew the Z, I knew X, I knew F, I knew the tight end Y, and I knew some HVAC, right? So that was just me. Like I was just a junkie in terms of actually studying the game. What are some things that you took from Vanderbilt that allowed you to be successful in the NFL?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it's like you said, the studying aspect, being a Vanderbilt student is huge. But one thing I can like vividly I just hear in my mind with James Franklin as our head coach then, he was very adamant on doing the right thing when no one's kind of watching. Do the small things, everything else will take care of itself. So, you know, that's something I still live up to today is like, do the right thing. No matter, you know, if you got to ask yourself, is this the right thing? Then it's probably not, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that kind of really translate, even like the days like where it's hard to get in the weight room. You're like, man, like, I don't know. Is that, you know, you just got to do it. You know, you got to do the right thing at all times. And it'll pay off for you. So that's definitely something I still hold on to today.
Awesome. Well, of course, I got to ask you now about the NFL. What's one thing you're looking forward to this season?
Man, I'm excited just to get up to Indianapolis. We had I had a high ankle injury against the Steelers at the end of the season, and was playing well. And you know, we had a short playoff run, and just to bring back a lot of the same talent and to get a good core group of guys in the room again, just to get up in person and just kind of, you know, get back to work is kind of what I'm looking forward to. 2020, you know, wasn't a normal year. So hopefully this season we can get a little normalcy in there. And, you know, with the new quarterback and Carson Wentz coming up there, you know, I'm excited just to see what we can get going up there. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people. And, you know, we just got to keep putting in the work and, like I said, doing the right thing, and it'll take care of itself.
That's awesome, man. Well, you know, Vanderbilt is behind you 1,000% of the way. How can people follow you on social media?
That's funny you ask. So I actually took a little hiatus off of social media.
Here we go.
I still have my accounts. It's at Holden_it_down. But yeah, I'm kind of taking a break, kind of like a mental break, kind of cleanse myself of you know how that stuff goes.
Absolutely.
Kind of time to focus and dial back in, and so eventually I'll get back on, but not right now. Kind of taking a cleanse. So
absolutely. Well, Will, man, I appreciate you being on Open Doors today, man.
Hey, I appreciate you, Earl. Sorry at the beginning for claiming Georgia to you. I knew it was Alabama. I don't know why it's Georgia, but I apologize.
Oh man, it's all good. It's all good, man. Anchor down.
Yes, go Dores.